Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking to you about 10 easy no-fuss houseplants for busy people. So basically plants that you can kind of just ignore, don't have to fuss around with too much, and they'll still thrive and they'll still be fine. So let's get into it. So the first plant I want to talk about is the snake plant, Sansevieria. Snake plant as it's commonly called. I'm sure you've all seen it. It's a long plant with long spiky leaves. They come in all sorts of colors and variegations and they're really pretty. And they're also really low maintenance, really no fuss, really easy plants. Snake plants are also really good at purifying the air, so cleaning the air. They're one of the #1 plants for air cleaning, so that's also something to consider. And for lighting, you can pretty much put them in any light. They are considered a low light plant, so you can put them in a dark corner if you want to. They will not die. They might grow a little bit slower than they would if you had them in bright light. I have a couple in bright light and they definitely grow a lot faster, but they will not die in low light. So, and when it comes to watering, you can water them. Lots of people water them once a month even, but once a week is probably good, or once every 2 weeks. Just kind of see if it's dry. They like to dry out lots between watering, and also their leaves actually store water in them, so you don't have to water them that often. Although if you do have them in brighter light, you want to give them a little bit more water, because then they'll go through more water in the bright light. So that's plant #1, snake plant. And the second plant I want to talk about is the pothos, the trusted pothos, or devil's ivy as it's also called. Usually the golden pothos variety is the one most people are familiar with. And it's this really beautiful plant. It has these heart-shaped leaves speckled in gold, yellow, sometimes white a little bit. And it's that vining plant that people have on their ceilings or drape across the curtain rod. I'm sure you've all seen it. But yeah, so that plant is super easygoing, super no fuss. Water it once a week, ignore it most of the time. It will tell you when it needs water because it gets kind of limp. As soon as you water it, it crisps right back up and it's fine. As for light, you can put it in any kind of light. It can grow in really, really dark corners as well. Although it might get a little bit leggy, it might not produce as bigger leaves, and it might kind of reach out towards the light, but it also won't die. You can also put it in bright light, maybe not in total direct sun, but I've had it in total direct sun outside actually, and it still didn't die. So that plant is pretty much one of the lowest maintenance, no fuss plants you can get. So pothos, devil's ivy. #3 is aloe vera, or any kind of aloe for that matter. They're also super easy. They do want bright light, however, so do put them in the brightest window you have. They will grow in darker conditions as well, but they'll get lanky, they'll kind of flop over, or they'll reach for the light. So they are prettier in bright light. Even in direct sun, right in the window, in a south-facing window is fine with these guys. And for water, in the winter, I water my aloe maybe 3 times a winter, like hardly anything. And in the summer, I put it outside and it just gets rainwater whenever it rains. So they're also super forgiving plant. You can basically just ignore it and it'll be fine. And also, did you know that aloes actually bloom? I know some of you know this, but some of you might not know this. And they actually produce a beautiful bloom. They produce this big flower spike that comes out the middle. And then it has like these beautiful clusters of blooms on it. Orange, pink, white, yellow sometimes. Yeah, so if you have them in the right lighting conditions, bright light, they will most likely bloom if the plant is mature. But yeah, also super easygoing plant, super no fuss. So that's #3, aloe. And #4, just like aloe, we'll talk about succulents. Also very easy plants. So when I talk about succulents, I mean kalanchoe, echeveria, haworthia, those kind of things. Very easy plants, just like aloe. Has the same care requirements, bright light, hardly ever water them. They can pretty much, you can just ignore them and they'll be fine. They're also really cool because they come in so many different varieties and so many interesting shapes. It's awesome, and lots of them actually bloom as well, just like aloes, and they kind of produce the same flower stem, the long stem with the flowers on top, most of them. Yeah, so they're a really cool plant that's really easygoing as well. Any kind of succulents. And just like aloe and succulents, number 5 on my list is cacti. And cacti is pretty much, they are pretty much the same as succulents and aloe. Really easy, pretty much ignore them, but they need bright light. So a bright windowsill, a south-facing windowsill, or even east-facing is good in the northern hemisphere, where they get really bright light and they'll be happy. And really with cacti, you don't have to water them a lot at all, because they store water in the spongy texture of their bodies. They can store a lot of water, and they can store it in there for a really long time, and they don't need a lot of energy. So yeah, I water, well, when I used to have cacti, I don't really have them anymore because I have 3 cats, and one of our cats, she likes to, you know, mess with all my plants, so I can't really have cacti anymore. But I used to love them as a kid. I loved them. They're really good for kids, really great because they're so easy and they don't require any work at all. Water them maybe once a month, if that, and they'll be fine. Number 6 on my list is the Monstera. Okay, so everybody loves Monsteras, and they're actually really easygoing. They grow in pretty much any kind of light as well. You can have them in bright light, bright indirect, or even low lighting conditions, and they'll grow like a weed pretty much. Monsteras are pretty indestructible, really easygoing plant. If you give them water once a week and happy little spot that they can thrive in, they'll be fine. You can pretty much ignore them the rest of the time. And number 7 is the rubber tree, and they come in green, burgundy, white, ruby. They have all sorts of fancy names for them, but I'm sure you heard about them. Rubber tree or ficus, burgundy or Tineke or ruby, whatever they're called. All really super easy plants, really fast growers, so it's a really fun plant for beginners because they grow so fast, and it's really fun watching them grow because they grow from the tips of the stem, and it makes like a little red spike, and that's where the leaf comes out. So really fun. Water them maybe once a week or so. Well, water when it's dry to the first knuckle. And the only thing with those plants is they don't like to be moved around too much. They don't like to be fussed with, and they don't like drafts. So that's even better for busy people because you can just ignore it as long as you give it water once a week and put it in a bright, indirect lighting kind of spot. So that means near a window, but not right in the sun. Really easy plant. One thing about rubber plants is you don't want to get the sap on your skin because it might irritate your skin. They have white sap that is kind of rubbery, and that's why it's called a rubber plant basically. But yeah, so if you ever cut a stem off to propagate it, or just want to prune the plant, just wear gloves. Be careful that you don't get it on your skin or in your eyes because it is kind of you can get a rash and it can irritate your skin and your eyes for sure. So, and number 8 on my list is Dieffenbachia or dumb cane, but I don't really like the name dumb cane because they're not dumb, they're awesome. Anyways, Dieffenbachia or dumb cane, and it's actually called dumb cane because it has these little crystals in the sap that are called raphides, and they're made from oxalate crystals, calcium oxalate. And if you eat them, you temporarily can't speak because your tongue will be swollen and painful. So that's why it was called dumb cane, I guess. But I prefer Dieffenbachia. But yes, so they are really easy plants. You can grow them in pretty much no light. I've seen people grow them in a dark bathroom with no natural light whatsoever, just a fluorescent light. Lots of people will grow them in offices because they'll grow pretty much anywhere. You can also grow them in bright light as well. They'll do fine in any kind of light, but this is one of the easiest plants to care for that there is, really. As for water them once a week or so whenever they get dry. and you'll be fine. One note though is that these plants are toxic to humans and toxic to cats and dogs, pretty much all pets. And again, it's because of the sap. I know there's lots of different houseplants that are also toxic, so but these Dieffenbachias are actually a little bit more so because of the raphites, the calcium oxalate crystals. Yeah, so when a pet chews on them, it can really irritate their mouth, and it can cause swelling in the throat and in the mouth. It could actually potentially kill them, so that's why I don't have one in my home. I would love to have one, but I just really can't because of my crazy cats. But other than that, it's a great plant. And if you have cats or dogs that don't mess around with plants, it's probably okay. I know there are people that have these plants and they still have pets and they're fine, but I just don't want to risk it. And number 9 on my list is the ZZ plant, and I'm not even gonna try to say the actual name of it because I don't know, I'll probably mess it up. So anyways, ZZ plant, very cool plant, awesome looking and super low maintenance. Honestly, if you were to go on vacation for a year and come back and not water the plant for the whole time, it probably will still be alive and fine. Probably even thriving. That's how much you can ignore this plant. It will grow in the lowest light possible. You can pretty much just put it in the dark and it will probably still grow. And as for water, you can water it maybe once a month or so and it will still be fine. It has these thick shiny leaves that hold on to water for a really long time. It's almost kind of like a succulent actually. So super easygoing, super low maintenance, and really pretty. The only thing about it is that it doesn't grow very fast. It grows really slowly, but I mean, if you're busy and you don't have time to fuss with your plants, this is an awesome plant. And it also adds like really nice decor to a room because it's so cool looking. So yeah, ZZ plant. And number 10 on my list is the Lucky Bamboo, and you guys have all seen it, I'm sure. It's actually not really bamboo though. It's actually a plant in the Dracaena family, Dracaena sanderiana, and they just call it Lucky Bamboo just because it looks a lot like bamboo, I guess, but it's actually not bamboo. But let's just for now call it Lucky Bamboo, because that's what it's usually sold as in stores. Super easy plant. It grows in water basically. If you want to put it in soil, you can, but you can also just grow it in water. People grow it in fish tanks, people grow it in vases, and in feng shui it has like different meanings. So like for instance, like 2 stems means love, or 3 stems means happiness, all that kind of stuff. You can research it if you want, but yeah, it has all sorts of different meanings, and it's really cool because you can make it have shapes. So basically what they'll do is they'll wrap it around a dowel or something like that, and it'll be like in a curly shape, or you can braid it. You can just leave it straight if you want, but yeah, it's a really versatile plant, and it needs like basically no care. Just stick it in a vase with water, change the water once in a while, and it's fine. And for lighting, you can pretty much put it in any kind of light. It doesn't really need bright light. You can put it on your desk at work, or just, you know, in a corner in your bathroom, and it'll be perfectly fine. So that's it for my list of 10 easy no-fuss houseplants for busy people. I hope that helps, and if you like my content, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!